Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston born and raised, H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, folks of all stripes, and distinguished guests, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast, your Houston sports podcast for diehard Houston sports fans. From a diehard Houston sports fan, I'm Paul Salazar Jr., your favorite diehard Astros fan podcaster, and yeah, feel free to add as many qualifiers to that statement to make it true. I'm an actor, improviser, writer, creative multi-hyphenate, and of course, I'm a proud Houston native, and I have the receipts to prove it. That's right, folks. I own the Kolache factory. I'm a secret owner. Don't tell anybody. I spent the last decade or so as a comedy writer in Los Angeles, and now, well, I'm podcasting. That's what happens when you hit 10 years out here. You start absent-mindedly calling it the 10 instead of I-10, and you just start podcasting. Welcome to said podcast. Space Cadet Sports started as a passion project because most media is infuriating as a diehard long-term fan of your Houston Astros and other Houston sports teams. Here we aren't doom and gloom casual fans, or worse, the national media haters and sometimes avoiders. We love our teams and root them on, but also try to discuss the ins and outs of them without too much homerism. The key word here, of course, is try. On today's episode, it's Paul's pick. NFL Paul's pick? I guess I'm just making one. Look, it's holiday time, folks. I'm ready for the holidays. I'm ready for a break. It's Paul's picks. Paul's picks, where I pick the winners, or I try to pick the winners for the upcoming NFL week. Oof. Look, folks, I'm ready for a break. I'd like to welcome returning listeners and welcome new listeners to what my brothers call the Paul Broad Pod Ball Blog. Hey, brothers. Shout out to my brothers. Shout out to Arrested Development fans. And shout out to the subscribers on the Substack. That's right. Check out spacecadetsports.substack.com for the full blog experience, or the full blog experience, depending on your interpretation of my mumbles here. Whew. We're recording this transmission here in sunny Los Angeles, where I'm joined by my co-host and co-producer, the Ross to my Frasier. Carla, the dog, is here with me. Of course, she's not here with me exactly right now. She is in another room, begging for her bread. But longtime listeners of the podcast know that she's got the hot takes on this podcast. In a world of ridiculous sports podcasts, emotional reactions, hot takes, and dudes yelling their opinions as if they're fact, I at least try to be honest with y'all that, I'm ridiculous. If nothing else, I try to take the long view. I try to remember that we've elected to be fans, and there are bigger dragons in this world to fight, so why torture ourselves by letting these sports bros rile up our emotions? So we try to be reasonable here. We try to be happy about our sports fandom on some kind of level, but, just to an extent. I'm still a trash-talking clown, and I get in my emotions just as much as anybody else. I just admit it. I'm an entertainer. I'm a diehard fan. I'm a clown. So be warned. Let's go ahead and get to it, folks. Good day, mates, to all the listeners, and let's get to Paul's picks. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to y'all. We're about ready to take our break here for the week for Thanksgiving. We're going to take some time off to be with family, to be with friends, and honestly, to just eat so much that I pass out. Not really. I mean, look, we try to do everything in moderation nowadays. I'm an old man. I can't be as gluttonous as I used to be, but we are excited about Thanksgiving here. I know Carla is. Ready for some Thanksgiving football. So let's get to Paul's picks. Now, folks, I always like to say that I'm a comedian, I'm a clown, but also, look, these picks are for comedy's sake. Just remember that. Look, if you This is not the time to develop a gambling habit. Please don't do. Please, just don't sports gamble. If you do your fantasy leagues, do your pick'em leagues, have a little bit of fun, but don't go off in the deep end when it comes to gambling. It's stressful, especially during the holidays. Just don't even start. Just let's remember that this is for comedy. This is so you could look at your picks from your pick'em league and compare them to my picks and see if you're roasting me, see if you're besting me here. But we're after the end of our picks here for week 13, we will look back at how I did last week for week 12 and how I've been doing on the full season. So we get my total win-loss records. I make it public. That's what clowns do. Let's look at what we have here for our Thursday night games, folks. On Thanksgiving, of course, we have our Detroit game. We have Green Bay versus Detroit. Detroit here is favored by 2.5. The over/under is 49. And this is going to be a good one, folks. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I think this is going to be a close one, honestly. I think, Detroit barely getting favored here at home in the spread line here is telling. But, I've got to go with the fam. I've got to go with the in-laws. I'm going to go with the Michiganders. We're going to go ahead and take Detroit here. Carlo wants to take Detroit. We're taking Detroit in the game and moving on to our next Thursday night game, or Thursday Thanksgiving game. We have the Dallas game here, Kansas City, the Chiefs versus the Cowboys. And Carla's crying because she has to watch yet another nationally televised Cowboys game. It's rough to watch. They are getting better. They do have more to play for nowadays. The Cowboys do. We love making our Cowboys jokes, but they are an improved team than they were looking to be, at least earlier in this season. However, I don't think they're improved enough where I'm picking them to beat the Chiefs. I think they could play a little bit of a spoiler here. But I'm not picking them to win. Kansas City needs wins. They're a team that knows how to win. The Cowboys here are +3 at home. The over/under is 52. But I just think the Chiefs are serious in a way that the Cowboys aren't. So we're picking the Chiefs and moving on to our next Thanksgiving Day game. We have Cincinnati at Baltimore here. Baltimore's favored by 7 points. The over/under is 52. And this might be a beatdown. While the other two games can be a little closer, we're looking for them to be a little more competitive. This one might be rough. Avert your eyes, children. This one might be tough. I really, feel bad for Bengals fans. I mean, it has not been a fun season for them. We have Joe Burrow returning to the Bengals here potentially in this game, and might not be fun for him. Let's see here. I'm trying to pull up the Bengals are 3-8. The Ravens are 6-5. I look to the Ravens to continue improving their season to get back into playoff contention here. Moving on, we have a Friday night game this week. A Black Friday game. Look, folks, corporations have too much of our monies. This Black Friday, I don't know, make some art. Make one of your family members a painting. Write them a limerick. I don't know. These companies have all of our money, like for real. Make something from the heart this year. I don't know. That's your Uncle Paul telling you something there. So for this Black Friday game, we have the Chicago Bears, who are 8-3, against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 8-3. So this is a much anticipated matchup. However, the Eagles are favored in this game by 7 points. -7 here is the line. The over/under is 44.5. And yeah, I think this can be a competitive game. However, I'm going with the team that's been there before I'm not going with the upstart here. I think the Bears have a lot more to prove. And I mean, I think the Eagles have a lot to prove, honestly, in terms of their consistency, in terms of proving that that they can remain consistent to remain big contender for in the playoffs, I should say, is what I'm trying to say here. Whereas the Bears, I think they're still trying to prove that they're making that leap. I'm going with the battle-tested team here with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're moving on to the Sunday games here. Obviously, the first game we're going to talk about here is going to be our Houston Texans. Your Houston Texans are now 6-5. The Indianapolis Colts are 8-3, and the Texans play the Colts 2 more times before the season ends, including Sunday's game, I should say. The game is in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is favored here by 4.5 points. The over-under is 44.5. This is a big game for your Houston Texans. It's a big game to keep their season alive, and it's a big game to be in control, or more in control, of their playoff destiny and playoff hopes. They will have to show up against this Indianapolis Colts team. Carla agrees. She's crying. She wants to see what these Texans are made out of. The Indianapolis Colts offense has looked incredible, and that is behind Jonathan Taylor, who has been an all-purpose back for the Colts. He's I feel like in a way what the Colts have been doing offensively is what the Texans and offensive coordinator Nick Haley has wanted to do this season. Everything's predicated on the run. They establish the run early and often. They have a lot of play action and crossing routes on that team. It's all based off of the run. And I feel like that's kind of what the offense in Houston has wanted to be. Hasn't always been. There's been inconsistent play from your Houston Texans on the offensive side of the ball this season. However, defensively, this team is just number one in almost all the metrics. I believe just this week the Rams are overtaking some of those numbers depending on what you're looking at, because the Rams have an incredible defense as well. But essentially, this Houston Texans defense is either 1A or 1B, depending on how you want to slice it. They have an incredible defense, and this week we have, or hopefully, I mean, it seems like that C.J. Stroud still is in concussion protocol. However, it looks like he is completely starting this week simultaneously. I think that's just language. I don't think that's anything to worry about. But, of course, we're all nervous. We want to see CJ back. So this offense that's had more consistent offensive line play, and I'm not saying perfect offensive line play, and more consistent play from its skill positions, is going to have CJ Stroud back under center, and I think that's going to open up this offensive play calling a little bit. I think, no disrespect to Davis Mills, Money Mills there, and General Mills did a great job winning games for the Texans and keeping them in it. No disrespect to him, but I think the offense was kind of pared back and a game manager type script. I think the plays called for CJ Stroud are going to be more ambitious and more aggressive, and we're going to need that against a team like the Colts. All that being said, who am I picking? Well, folks, I am thankful for the Texans this season. I am thankful for them fighting so hard. I am thankful for them not giving up on the season, and I'm thankful for this defense, and for that reason, I am taking the Houston Texans to win this game. With that being said, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the other side with more of Paul's Picks.
H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr., and on this episode, well, you've heard of Jimmy the Greek. Well, I'm Paulie the Geek, and I'm picking all of your winners for NFL Week 13, or at least I'm trying. I'm trying to help you pick them here. We're here looking at Sunday's game right, Sunday's games, I should say, right now. The next game on our list is the San Francisco 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. The 49ers are favored in this game, or by 5 points, so Cleveland's a home dog, so over-under is 36.5. Good Lord. Yeah, I know, Carla. I wrote it down as a different number. That's why we double check things on the podcast. That's why you're such a good producer. You know, she's very vocal right now because it's a beautiful day. She's ready for vacation. We both have senioritis. We're ready for this podcast to be over so we can run around and frolic. But we do have to talk about the Cleveland Browns, unfortunately. And I can't see for a way for the Browns to win this game against the 49ers. We're not going to overthink it. 49ers get the win. Moving on to the next game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at Tennessee. Tennessee are the home dogs here, plus 6.5 at home. The over-under is 42. The Titans have only won one game so far this season. And, they can get spicy. I could see them having a spicy divisional game, making it close against the Jacksonville Jaguars, just to kind of, make the game extra tough for both fan bases and torture them both. However, I don't see the Titans winning this. We're going with the Jacksonville Jaguars and moving on. The next game we have here is the New Orleans Saints at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored here at home by 6 points. The over-under is 41.5. I really think that, Miami has been clinging to life, if not for their playoff hopes, at least for their coaching staff in some kind of way, for consistency's sake. The Saints are just a fairly miserable team right now that's just torturing their fan base as well. We're going to go with the Dolphins in this game and move on to the next game. Here we have Atlanta at the Jets. The Jets are home dogs plus 2.5. The over-under is 39.5. I think the Jets are starting to have a little bit of confidence, a little bit of change there. It's fun to cheer on John Mechie, the receiver. He played for Houston last season. He was traded away to the Eagles, and now he has found a home with the New York Jets. And he had a good game last week. I hope Mechie continues to impress and does great with the opportunities given to him in New York. However, I think Atlanta will win this game. Moving on to the next game, we have Tampa Bay. Well, we have Arizona at Tampa Bay, I should say. The Cardinals are 3-8. The Buccaneers are 6-5. Tampa Bay is favored at home here by 2.5 points. So they're favored, but not by much. It's kind of disrespectful, again, when you think about the Cardinals there, the fact that they're 3-8 and the tough season they've had. Not a lot of faith in the Buccaneers, really. It seems like the over-under is 43.5. But I echo that. I also don't know what Tampa Bay is up to right now. I don't know what direction this team is headed. The Cardinals, I think, are spiraling out of control, though. At one point, I thought it was maybe a spicy take, seeing what they would do this season, and that might have been my worst take out of all my NFL takes. They're not looking good. We're picking the Buccaneers here, but hesitantly. Moving on to the next game, we have the LA Rams at Carolina. The Rams are 9-2. The Panthers are 6-6, surprisingly. However, at home, the Panthers are home dogs plus 10.5 at home. The over-under is 45. And folks, this Rams team is for real. They're legit. While the Panthers can be spicy and play spoiler, I don't think they have what it takes to play spoiler against the Rams. The Rams will continue to march towards the playoffs and win this game. Moving on to the next game, Minnesota at Seattle. The Seahawks, both of these teams I kind of were like Paul's darlings at some point. I'm like, ooh, they're coached up. I like the way they look. The Vikings have really not done well this season, and quarterback J.J. McCarthy has not looked good. Whereas the Seahawks have continued to improve. The Seahawks are favored at home here by 11.5 points. The over-under is 41. I could see that maybe, the Vikings can make it a lot closer than the odds makers are saying it, but that it'll be. But I think the Seahawks are going to take this game. We're not overthinking that one. And moving on to the next game, which is Buffalo Bills at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Buffalo Bills are favored in this game by 4 points. The over-under is 47. And the Steelers are optimistic that Aaron Rodgers will be able to play versus the Buffalo Bills. But I'm optimistic that no matter who's playing against the Bills are going to come out firing and wanting to win this game. They're going to want to prove themselves to still be the playoff contender that everyone says they are after a tough game in Houston. I don't think the Steelers have what it takes to withstand that, and I'm picking the Bills in this game. Moving on to the next game, we have the Las Vegas Raiders against the LA Chargers. The Chargers are favored at home by 10 points. The over/under is 41, and yeah, the Raiders are 2-9. The Chargers are 7-4. But if you wouldn't tell me those records, it does feel a lot closer. Up a game than those records indicate, even than the spread indicates there. We are picking the Chargers, don't get me wrong. Sorry, Raiders fans. I'm picking the Chargers to win this game. I'm just saying it seems like, that the Chargers are kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe I'm not watching enough Chargers games. You tell me, fans. The next game we have here, last game on Sunday, is the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are home dogs here, plus 5.5 at home. The over/under is 43.5, and the Broncos are just continuing to do great this season. They're 9-2, and the Commanders at one point, they thought this team might be following the Texans' lead and be jumping up to a new tier of relevancy after some tough seasons. The Commanders are now 3-8, and not a lot of people have faith in them. Thank you, Carla. Carla's jumping up next to me here. She agrees that the Broncos are doing well and the Commanders aren't. So we're going with the good team in this case and picking the Broncos to win. And moving on to the last game this week, the Monday night game, it's the New York Giants against the New England Patriots. The Giants are 2-10. The Patriots are 10-2. The New England Patriots are favored in this game by 7.5. The over/under is 46. Just it doesn't take much math to look at those numbers and pick a winner and be like the Patriots, right? But it just makes me sad that the Patriots are back. It makes me sad that I have to pick them to win games. I feel like I wanted them to be bad for a decade. They were good for so long. I wanted them to be bad for a good long time as well. So it's just a bummer. But, that's just me being a hater. Carla, I'm sorry, Carla. I won't be so much of a hater. Let's look at my, let's look at how well I've been doing on the season. Last week, Carla, it's okay. Carla is ready to play. That's okay, Carla. So we're going to look at how I've done on the Sleeper app. Last week, week 12, I was 11-3. That's right, folks. I got into double-digit wins. 79% correct. And I did the best that week in the league. Congrats to me. Excuse me as I pat myself on the back. Let's see what I got wrong last week. Unfortunately, shame on me. I got the Thursday night game wrong. I picked against the Texans. But what would you do? What would you do? It says 0% chose the Texans to win that game. I'm a Texans fan. I've seen what this team has done this season. So I was just trying to use my brain and not my heart there. The other game I got wrong. We picked the Raiders to beat Cleveland. Cleveland won 24-10. I don't know. Seemed a lot of people were picking the Raiders too. Picking against Jador Sanders, picking against the Browns. Shame on me there, I guess. Just shame on me. Moving on to the next game, the Cowboys beat the Eagles. Not too many people I think picked that one outside of Cowboys fans. So got some of them wrong there, but overall, good success last week. And I need it, folks. I've been clawing my way back up the standings since I believe it was week 5 or week 7. I didn't get my picks in. I did my picks on the podcast, but I did not put them in the app. So I took a huge loss that week. And folks, like I said, I'm a clown. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm ridiculous. So I don't fudge those numbers. I tell you exactly how I'm doing in the league. Right now, I am 108-70 as my win-loss records on the season. That's good for 8th in my sleeper league. And folks, I am not closing the gap on my fiance's lead on me. She has 118 wins. So if y'all are coming to talk some trash on me, trying to say that you've had a better season than me, I don't want to hear it unless you've had a better season than her. You know what she does? Her secret to success is that she listens to the podcast, but she does not take any of my advice ever. Look, that's what her key to success is. It's just you don't take anything I say too seriously. In my fantasy league, Brian Nichols beat me last week. And the season's over, I guess. I should just start tanking now. I'm 4-8. This is not usual for me. I don't know what to do. I'm used to success. Seriously though, it's been a while since I've been out of contention. I feel like if I fight really hard, I could maybe claw my way back to that last playoff spot. But it's gonna take some work. We'll see. I have a decent enough roster, but we'll see if the dominoes fall in that way for me, if I'm able to set the right lineups, if I'm able to get the right matchups. It's been a tough season. It's been a long one for me. With that being said, folks, we're going to take one quick break. We'll be right back to talk about your Houston Rockets right after this.
H-Town Rebel Space Cadet Sports.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. We are happy to talk about your Houston Rockets after beating the Suns 114-92. The Rockets are now 11-4 on the season. That game they played without Kevin Durant. Your boy, the tax man, Reed Shepherd, got a start in that game against Phoenix. And that got to be a really physical game. They were playing very tough. The refs kind of swallowed the whistle a bit in that game. Dylan Brooks was feisty, but it was all love. There were some really tough plays. Don't get me wrong. I believe Jabari Smith Jr. kind of elbowed Dylan Brooks in the face at one point. It wasn't intentional. They went and checked to see if it was a flagrant. I believe they said that it was not a flagrant foul. It was a common foul, if I'm remembering that correctly. But, it was a chippy game. And afterward, it was nothing but smiles and hugs. Dylan Brooks was giving everybody love. That's just how they play. They probably, some of those practices, some of those scrimmage games were probably rough sometimes. Those guys play physical, and that was something that the Rockets did last season was they play really good defense this season, physical defense this season too. But I'm just saying, Dylan Brooks brings that. I think in this game, Amen Thompson was able to shine. A lot of people that have been a proponent for Reed Sheppard being in the starting lineup kind of got to point to this, Amen Thompson's success offensively in this game with Reed Sheppard next to him. Amen had 28 points with 7 rebounds and 8 assists. He was 10 of 16 from the field. And, people are saying, yeah, if you have a traditional point guard next to Amen, he can be the off-ball guard. He can focus more on defense. It kind of opens him up more offensively when he has less offensive playmaking duties there. Now, Reed Sheppard got 7 points with 5 assists and 3 steals in this game with 2 turnovers. So Reed being in the point guard role would definitely, he's not going to be your offensive spark plug off the bench, scoring those big points like he kind of has been the previous games. All of these players, when you put them in different roles, it kind of changes what they do, what their output kind of is statistically. But speaking of spark plugs off the bench, that was Aaron Holiday in this game. Holiday, that's right. We sing Madonna on this podcast for Aaron Holiday, who scored 22 points off the bench, kind of picking up that Reed Sheppard role, if you will. So that was good to see. Everybody bringing their game to this matchup. Jabari Smith Jr. in this game against Phoenix had a great one. He had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and I believe he had 1 assist in the game too. Jabari looking really good, stepping up with no KD there. And Alperen Sengun having a very solid game, maybe not, a high point total that you were thinking he might get in this game, but he had 18 points with 5 rebounds and 5 assists, kind of just a little bit of something from everybody in this game, just enough to get them over on Phoenix. Josh Okogie was your 5th starter in this game. They went with a kind of a length lineup instead of like a double big lineup, and going forward, the Houston Rockets are playing the Warriors in their last NBA Cup matchup. I believe that's going to be this evening. That's right, Wednesday night, the same night as a recording of this podcast. So that game might be done with by the time you're listening to this. But they're playing the Warriors. There's going to be no Kevin Durant, and I believe no Steven Adams in that game. So you're going to have Clint Capella off the bench. And folks, this might be a chippy game too. If you thought the defense and the physical style of play was present versus the Suns, I think that will be the same case versus the Warriors. Both of these teams had a physical matchup last season in the playoffs. I felt like I got beat up watching those games. It took a toll on my emotions watching those Warriors-Rockets games last playoffs. So I anticipate this game will be pretty tough. It will be a lot of defense, and it will be a lot of fun. The Rockets' path to getting into the NBA Cup is a long one. They would have to win this game, and they would have to win by a huge point differential. They'd kind of have to run up the score to just have a chance to get in, but it is a bit of a long shot. It's the NBA Cup. It'd be fun to root for if the Rockets didn't have playoff chances and playoff hopes, but a team that's this good, we're looking for the playoffs. It's okay. We don't need to worry too much about the NBA Cup this season. But also, that's my take. Maybe you feel differently. Obviously, I want them to win this game. I'm just saying, I'm not stressing on the NBA Cup. But let me know if you think differently. And with that being said, that's going to do it for this transmission, Space Cadets. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. Please hit those buttons for me. Like, rate, review, subscribe, share, bop it, kick it, skip it, smash all of those buttons for me. As the kids say, we're a small podcast and only go as far as our listenership takes us. We're supported by listeners like you. So please share with a Houston fan or Australian in your life and give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to us on. That really goes so far to help us and to help us get in front of new audiences and new listeners. If you'd be so kind, let me know what you think. Let me know if you are really hoping the Rockets get into the NBA Cup. Let me know how you're doing this season in your pigskin pickem league on social media at Space Cadet Sports, or you can call in, leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/Space Cadet Sports, or leave a comment on the Substack. Once again, that's running out of breath, spacecadetsports.substack.com. Check out the Substack, leave a comment there. You can subscribe to support. 99% of the content I do on the Substack is not behind a paywall. If you'd like to be a premium supporter, that's just a low monthly cost to help pay the bills around here. Help pay for better podcasting equipment, treats for Carla, and good stuff like that. This is a passion project, but it'd be nice to make a little bit of money off of it, but not at the expense of putting things behind a paywall. So go check out the Substack. Let me know what you think. If you want to support us, but you don't want to be a subscriber, maybe consider some merch. We have Don't Sleep on Houston shirts. We have Carla the Dog hats in H-Town Blue. Go check that out on paulsalazarjr.net. Because I'm nothing but net, y'all. Go check out the merch page there. And if you've made it this far, you might like me or my weird jokes. You can find me doing more weird jokes, memes, art, podcasts, and so much more at paulsalazarjr on social media. Or once again, that website's paulsalazarjr.net, where you can find my other Substack, all my other nonsense. Go check that out. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to be the best that you can be. Keep your head up, kid. And as always, vamos, vamos Houston.
Houston Astros, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, Houston Dynamo, Houston everything, Houston
Born and raised
H-Town Rebels.